Alright, so in this video, we're going to talk about the circumference of circles. So circumference is different from area, and that's what we're going to go ahead and talk about now. So for your vocabulary word for this, circumference is the perimeter of a circle. Now, the reason why we don't just call it perimeter is because perimeter usually refers to a shape that has actual sides. So for example, like a rectangle or a triangle, you would just simply add up all the sides and get your perimeter. But with a circle, there's no distinct sides. It's just circular, and so that's called a circumference. But just know that when we talk about circumference, we are talking about the actual perimeter of a circle. Now, we still have here the diameter, which goes straight across, and then the radius, which is half of the diameter. All right, so we're going to go ahead and write this down on our formula sheet. We do have a new formula for circumference, so go ahead and pause the video if you need to, but I'm going to go ahead and keep going. So our formula for circumference is C equals 2 pi r. Now make sure you're not doing r squared. That's area. This is just 2 times pi times r. So let's go ahead and start looking at this example. So pi is still 3.14, and it always will be. And our radius of this circle is 4.5. So our formula is C equals 2 pi r. So circumference equals 2 times pi, which is 3.14, times r, which is 4.5. Now, in one nice step, we're simply going to multiply them all together. And we're going to get that the circumference is 28.26. Now, when we write our actual answer, just like perimeter, you just simply put the units and they are not squared because remember, it is simply perimeter. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at our first actual example. So pi is 3.14. The radius here is going to be half of the diameter. So if the diameter is 22, then the radius is going to be 11. So we have 11 centimeters. And notice I'm asking you for the circumference and for the area, okay? So let's go ahead and calculate the circumference first. So C equals 2 pi r. C equals 2 times 3.14 times 11. And then go ahead and put that all in one big multiplication operation. And you're going to get 69.08. So the circumference is 69.08 centimeters. Now let's go ahead and calculate the area. So area equals pi r squared. Area equals 3.14 times 11, 11 squared. So area equals 3.14, 11 squared is 121. And when we multiply those together, we're going to get that the area equals 379.94, and that'll be centimeters squared. Okay. Now I'm having you calculate the area just for some extra practice because circumference and area, we are going to use them hand in hand together in some problems down the line. So let's go ahead and look at this problem here. So pi, again, is 3.14. Our radius, So our radius is going to be half of the diameter. So if the diameter is 6 inches, our radius is going to be 3. So we have 3 inches. And then we're going to go ahead and calculate our circumference. So C equals 2 pi r. C equals 2 times 3.14, and then times our radius, which is 3. And when I multiply all those together, I'm going to get 18.84. So that's going to be 18.84 inches. And it's not squared because it's not area. Okay? Then we have area equals pi r squared. Area equals 3.14 times 3 squared. So area equals 3.14. 3 squared is 9. And so our final answer for area is going to be 28.26, and that is going to be inches squared. All right, next example. So again, we have pi, which is 3.14. We have the radius, which is 5 inches. And remember that double the radius would be the diameter, which would be 10. So let's go ahead and calculate the circumference. So C equals 2 pi r. C equals 2 times 3.14 times 5. And then go ahead and multiply all those together. And then you're going to get 31.4, and that's going to be in inches. Let's go ahead and calculate the area. So area equals pi r squared. Area equals 3.14. The radius is 5 squared. Area equals 3.14, and 5 squared is 25. Go ahead and multiply those together, and you're going to get an area that is 78.5, and that's going to be inches squared. Okay, next one here. So again, pi, 3.14. Our radius is half of the diameter. So if the diameter is 9, our radius is going to be 4.5. So we have 4.5 inches. And then we'll go ahead and calculate our circumference. C equals 2 pi r. C equals 2 times 3.14 times our radius, which is 4.5. When you multiply all of those together, you're going to get 28.26, and that's inches. Now let's calculate the area. So area equals pi r squared. Area equals 3.14 times 4.5 squared. And we're always going to do the exponent first because that's first in order of operations. So 3.14 and then 2.5 squared is 6.25. And then we will multiply both of those together to get our final area, which is 19.625. And that's inches squared. Okay, now just like area, we at times will have to work backwards. And this is why I've added in the area question to each one of these problems. So if I give you the circumference, you should be able to give me the area, and I'm going to show you how. So pi is 3.14. We don't know the radius, but we know that the circumference is 12.56 miles. Okay, so we're going to write out the formula. C equals 2 pi r. Now our circumference is 12.56 equals 2 times 3.14 times r, because we don't know r. We're going to simplify this left-hand side. So 12.56 equals, we can multiply those two together and get 6.28 r. Now we want r by itself. So one-step equation, box your variable, 6.28, divide by 6.28 on both sides. And then that will give us r equals 2. So if my radius is 2 miles, I can now calculate the area because I have the radius. So area equals pi r squared. Area equals 3.14. Times 2 squared. Area equals 3.14. 2 squared is 4. So my area equals 12.56, and that's going to be miles squared. And in this case, the area and the circumference are the same thing. Now, what's important to realize is what we just did with the circumference and the area. if I gave you this circumference and I said, find me the area, you don't have an A, you don't have an R. All you have is pi. So you need to solve for the circumference first so that you can actually get the radius, and then you can plug the radius into the area formula. So let's do another one of those. So pi is 3.14. I don't have the radius, but I do have the circumference. I'm having a hard time writing here. All right, so 81.64 meters. All right, now we're going to go ahead and work backwards with the circumference formula so we can get the radius and then plug it into the area formula. So we know our circumference is 81.64. We have 2 times pi times r. I'm going to simplify this side. 81.64 equals 6.28 r. I need the r by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by 6.28. And then let me calculate that. And I'm going to get r equals 13. So my radius is 13 meters. But now I can plug it into the area formula and find the area. So area equals pi r squared. Area equals 3.14. And then I have 13 squared. Area equals 3.14. 13 squared is 169. So I'm going to do 3.14 times 169. And that's going to give me 530.66. And that'll be meters squared. All right, let's do another one here. So pi is 3.14. We don't know our radius, but we do know our circumference. So 38.936 meters. So we're going to put it into the circumference formula and work backwards. So circumference equals 2 pi r. So we know that the circumference is 38.936 equals 2 times 3.14 times r. We're going to simplify this side here. 38.936 equals 6.28 r. We need the r by itself, so we're going to divide both sides by 6.28. That's going to cancel, and we're left with r equals, and let me go ahead and calculate that. R equals 6.2. So our radius is 6.2 meters. But now we're going to put that into our area formula. Area equals pi r squared. Area equals 3.14. Our radius is 6.2 squared. Area equals 3.14. 6.2 times 6.2 is 38.44. Multiply those two together, and you're going to get a rather large decimal, but don't round it. 120.7016. And the reason why I really don't want you to round it is because I really want your answer as precise as possible. I'll ask you to round it if needed. All right, so you go ahead and try this one. So this one, I'm just asking you the circumference.
Mr. Wright and Ms. Jenkins, please report to the guidance conference room. Mr. Jenkins, I'm sorry, Ms. Jenkins, Mr. Wright, please report to the guidance conference room. Thank you.
All right, so in this example here, our radius was half of the diameter, which is 9, and the diameter was 18. So we put it in 2 times pi times r, and that gave us 56.52 inches. Remember, it's not squared because circumference is perimeter. Then I also asked you for the area. So 3.14 times 9 squared. 9 squared is 81, and when you multiply those two together, you should get 254.34 inches squared. All right, now for this one, go ahead and try this one on your own as well. That should say you try. And remember, here I'm giving you the circumference. All right, so when we take a look at this one, go ahead and pause if you're not done, by the way. It gave us the circumference, and it's asking us for the area and for the radius, so we need to work backwards. So I plugged in 43.96 into our circumference formula, and then I simplified the right-hand side. I divided both sides by 6.28, and I got a radius of 7 centimeters. Once I have the radius, I can use the area formula to find the area. So I did area equals pi r squared. 7 squared is 49, and when I multiplied that times pi, I got 153.86, and that would be centimeters squared. All right, that is the end of this lesson, and we will do more practice in class.